So welcome to the stage. I'm Marcel Nobre, I'm from Brazil. There is Brazilian heroes? Yeah. Oh, almost all of you. I have so many friends. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur at Beta Lab and exclusive residence. I'm a professor of innovation, AI, and technology. I'm a guest expert from CNBC Brazil, a columnist at HSM Management, and co-host of Trends News podcast, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm a speaker, my first time here in South by Southwest. So, what is our journey for today? I will do a talk, about 30 minutes talk with you. This is something uncomfortable, but you will survive. Then we will have about 20 minutes in this core conversation to build something fun together, something interesting together, and then we will see if AI can help us to construct a collective knowledge. Are you ready? Yeah, maybe 8 people are ready. It's amazing, yeah. So let's take a look in these interesting articles here. And I have a question. What do so many tech leaders that are shaping our future is limiting their own children to access their own creation? We are emotionally connected with platforms that are economically optimized for our attention. That's not personal. It's just a business model. This is 2 cases of ex-employees of big tech companies that exited from their companies as they perceived it, that they were working not for the well-being of the society. What happens when ethics research challenges corporate priorities? Because AI governance is not only about technology problem, it's an institutional one. Some of the most powerful people shaping our future is trying to protecting themselves from global and from systemic instability. What could that mean? Maybe they are creating a plan B while selling us a plan A. So it brings us to truth number 1. Technology follows incentives, and incentives are rarely aligned with collective well-being. It's not about not use technology, but use technology knowing which the side effects of what are you doing with that. We live in an era that data fuels the global economy. This is a chart and a website that show us what happens in only 30 seconds on internet. So if you want to access, you can go to penstocks.ai, internet in real time, and it shows to you what is the flow of the internet in real time. Data that comes from everywhere, every app, every website that you enter in every day, every gadget or wearable that you are using in this time. Every interaction leaves a trace, and trace at scale becomes intelligence. In this right moment, everybody here is carrying some device that are collecting our data in real time. And when this data from different systems are combined, it's easier to predict behavior with high accuracy. Have you noticed that reality is looking like science fiction? We just have now a contact lens with augmented reality, a system capable to decode our dream patterns, and a pendant that will listen everything around you. This is not the future. This is happening. This is in development in right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've become digital voodoos. We have a soul of data around the cloud computing, and it's not about to sell your products, but maybe to shape your behavior. We leave behavioral traces everywhere, and those traces fuel predictive systems, and predictive that don't just serve us, but they influence what we see, feel, and sometimes believe. Let's take a look in this interesting video about privacy. Who those design visibility systems are trying to protect him from these visible systems. They want invisible for themselves. So it brings us to truth number 2. Privacy has shifted from protection to transaction. This is the market share in the global cloud computing infrastructure market. And around 2/3 of this market, it's about 3 companies account for nearly 2/3 of this infrastructure. I don't know if you know, but the cloud computing infrastructure is the backbone of the modern society. And the dangerous here is that the concentration creates systemic fragility. When we look to the cloud infrastructure, they are centralizing the structure, but the platforms are centralizing the distribution. So the most of these platforms has almost all the market in Europe. They were defined as gatekeepers by the European Digital Markets Act regulation. And in digital advertising in the US, the same giants dominate almost 2/3 of this market too. And AI in the surface feels as a democratized technology, but it's not so democratized as it seems. In hardware, NVIDIA has about 90% of market share. And when we look to the platforms, applications, almost 3 companies has almost all the market. So we have centralized infrastructure, centralized distribution, and centralized platforms. This brings us to truth number 3. A handful of platforms shape the flow of global information. The control of information today is less about ownership and more about mediation. Who controls the information controls the narrative. And maybe we live in different realities and we see different worlds because someone is choosing for us what is real or not real in our timeline. And we need to talk about it. I know that it hurts, but we need to talk about it. We need to stop romanticizing AI because AI still doesn't feel, doesn't think, has no autonomy, doesn't disobey, doesn't question, doesn't create anything new, only obeys others and replicate patterns. So it's basically a meat grinder. Technically, it's a word combinator based on probability. And it's not a problem. But we are using this meat grinder as a therapist. This is a chart that shows us the top Gen AI use cases in the world. The first one is for therapy and companionship. The second one for organizing my life. The third one, we are using a meat grinder to find our purpose. And when technology fails, we blame the tool. So AI tools are designed to optimizing your life. It's designed to define the tasks, not for a deep comprehension and with the responsibility that the same therapist could have to us. AI can simulate empathy, can simulate feelings, emotions, but it doesn't feel it. This is an interesting case by Alex Duffy. Do you know the board game diplomacy? Who here knows the game diplomacy? Yeah? One person here? Well, this game, each move depends on negotiation, alliances, and when convenience, calculated betrayals. Alex Duffy created a digital version of the board game diplomacy and repeated 7 AI models against each other in 15 matches that lasted up 36 hours. Guess who was the winner? ChatGPT 03, in a game that you have to lie and manipulate the others. So he realized that each AI has its own personality. Cloud ChatGPT 3 is a liar and manipulator. Cloud from Anthropic, the peacemaker, and DeepSeek, multipolar. Are these AIs that serve your customers, organize your projects, and help with strategic decisions? So it brings us to truth number 4. AI is not your friend, my friend. It is an optimization engine. So just a few clicks can show more details about your life than your own family. With only 7 likes, an AI can outperform your coworkers. With 150 likes, your family members. And this is more shocking. 300 likes outperforms spouse in accuracy. Just a few likes can say more about you than you may know. AI can predict correlation between personality items with greater accuracy than lay humans and most experts. And this is a central mode that was trained with data from 10 million human decisions in 160 psychosocial experiments and achieved 64% predictive accuracy in future behaviors. So the prediction is shifting from reactive to anticipatory. Maybe you had done it before, but I asked it to my ChatGPT, trying to find some blind spots. And as you know, he tries to flatter me, to be soft with me. So I pushed it harder and asked for him, oh, you can be tough with me, you can go deeper. And then the results were incredible, was interesting, because he just knows me more than my family. So it brings us to truth number 5. AI models you through your data. Guys, quick question here. Who has read the ChatGPT terms and conditions of use? Please raise your hand. Oh my God. Really? But I'm sure that you took these terms and asked for ChatGPT to summarize it for you. Who did it? Raise your hand, please. Oh, 2, 3, 4 of you. Yeah. Oh my God. We have a Houston. Austin, we have a problem. Guys, we are increasingly consume formats as headlines, summaries, short videos, and this is reducing our attention span and creating us a compulsive behavior, not only among young people. The prolonged use of social media is associated with difficult maintaining focus, about 60-80%, emotional fatigue, and addiction-like behaviors. So we don't have more time to read an article. When you receive a MIT or Harvard Business Review article with 150 pages, what do? We are trying to transfer our cognitive skills for the machine. We are transferring to the machine our creativity. The machine it seems more human every day. And we are transforming ourselves on a robot. And when the machine outplays you in your job, maybe you blame the technology. So we have to be aware of this kind of information. This is another article that shows us that quick content reduces sustained attention and increases superficiality. How much high stimulation content you consume, shorter will be your attention. Superficiality of digital reading is eroding our deep comprehension. We are living a fragmented world with fragmented attention, and digital multitasking reduce cognitive focus. And the average that we check almost 150 times our mobile every day. We are in attention mode all the time. Can you imagine how much time an average a human being can focus attention span in one thing? Guess? 8 seconds. And a goldfish, 9. You never look to a goldfish the same way again. So there is so many lectures and researches that show us that AI can lead to cognitive deficits and decreased learning capacity. If you delegate your human skills for a machine, the machine will be the next human and you will be the next robot. We cannot do this. We have to use ChatGPT, oh my God, thanks God. You don't have to use a ChatGPT or an AI as an app, but as a co-pilot. Not giving to them your creativity, your cognitive skills. Because if you do this, you will lose your independent reasoning. So there is a research that the participants who used ChatGPT had the weakest neural connectivity. There was a drop of up to 32% in germinal cognitive load, impairing learning, integration, and retention capacity. And even after discontinuing AI use, participants continued to have a reduced brain activity. Access to knowledge has never been easier. A generation that studied at YouTube now are studying at ChatGPT. And the keyboard is smarter, you know? So we can now simulate expertise before we've built experience. And nowadays, it's very easy to seem like an expert. You only have to have a good storytelling, a good pronunciation, a good voice, and maybe you can simulate that you are an expert. So it brings us to truth number 6. Technology is changing our cognitive patterns. Well, Netflix is one of the largest data company in the world. And this chart is very interesting that shows us when you've been hooked in each series. So who here saw Breaking Bad? Raise your hand, please. So maybe you've been hooked in the 2nd episode. And How I Met Your Mother? Please raise your hand. In the 8th episode. So Netflix really knows about each user that they have. More data from Netflix. Algorithm generates $1 billion in annual savings through customer retention. The recommendation system is responsible for 80% of all the content consumed in the platform. So we are choosing just 20% of we are watching on Netflix. It takes around 60 and 90 seconds to decide whether or not to watch something on the platform. And it takes us 1.8 seconds to decide whether or not to watch a program based on the thumbnail and the name. Do you know that Netflix is responsible for data circulating on the internet worldwide in 13.75%? 70% of all content viewed in YouTube is recommended for its algorithms, which operates in a transparent and personalized way to increase engagement. And TikTok analyzes thousands of signals from viewing time, repetitions, profile taps to audio to instantly adjust each user's feed. So the algorithm doesn't tell you what to think, but it influences what you see. And what you see influences what you think. And that's the point. At first, this data was used to offer you a product or a discount. After that, to engage you in everything. But what happens when this infrastructure is used in political environments? This is a case that you have to watch on Netflix, called The Great Hack, that shows the case of Meta and Cambridge Analytica, that show us that when political and this power of technology are combined, it's very dangerous. After all, are we becoming a digital puppets? What we see is filtered before we choose. Sometimes we think that we are choosing something, we are desiring something, but maybe there is somebody that are choosing for us. So the truth number 7 is that personalization is reshaping human choice. Because the platforms don't just respond to desire, they participate in its formation. This dynamic is known as behavior modeling or adaptive filtering. So platforms don't simply respond to your request, they optimize it for engagement. And to do this, they model your behavior, identify patterns, and anticipate preferences. And over time, repeated exposure reinforces certain interests while reducing others. What feels like spontaneous desire may be shaped by sustained algorithmic reinforcement. We live in the monetization of attention era, and it creating us algorithmic anxiety. So TikTok influencers have triggered impulse purchases in 54% of their followers or the users, 34% more likely than with traditional ads. Amazon's recommendations is not based on what you search for, but more on global behavior patterns. So this is the algorithmic anxiety that we are living just now. There is so many researches that show us how we are not using the algorithm, but the algorithm is using us. And repeated algorithmic exposure alters preference formation. But calm down, it's not conspiracy, it's business model. Yeah, he agrees with me. And the systems are designed to maximize engagement and revenue. It's not about not to use tech. It's not about a big company. We are not children. We have to use the technology. It doesn't give this autonomy to technology uses us. So now design is engineered. The tech companies are shaping our design. Back into Netflix, maybe we have the same plan or we have the same movies available for us on Netflix. But do you know that Netflix changes the thumbnail accordingly to your preferences? So if you prefer a romantic movie, it will create to you a thumbnail for Stranger Things with a romantic scene. If you prefer terror, it will be a different thumbnail. And for each movie or series that you have in your Netflix, the thumbnail, the phrase was chosen for you. So if everybody here opens your Netflix app, each one of us will have a different thumbnail. So Netflix adjusts the thumbnail and text of each series according to each user's preferences. And the choice of image can increase the click-through rate by up to 20 or 30%. And these recommendation systems amplify extremes. So YouTube has nowadays 1.5 billion active users, and 70% are recommended videos. So only 30% of the people are choosing what they will watch. The other 70% is somebody that is choosing for you. Even users that are watching neutral or harmless content are quickly directed to conspiracy, to polarized or extreme viewpoint videos, regardless of whether they initially searched for such topics. And Mozilla Foundation did a report that indicates that YouTube's algorithms give users little real control to filter unwanted videos. And when recommendations differ, we have many versions of reality. So guys, we live in parallel realities. Over time, this personalization can reduce shared exposure and fragment the collective experience of reality. Yeah. And it brings us to truth number 9. Personalization fragments shared reality. We live in a moment that we have obsession with frictionless, with eliminating friction. So we experience the hypermarket, the supermarket, the market, the mini market. The market is in our hands. Now you can go at the Amazon. You don't have to take your phone to pay anything. You have electronic trash bins. You have autocomplete. You have hand payment in China, voice control, auto cleaner robots. Even our toothbrush are electric. So less we decide, more the system decides for us. Maybe in a few years we will be a brain in a jelly, just connected, because what you want, you are a tap from that. And we have the paradox of convenience. Easy is the less conscious choice there is. So the human brain tends to conserve cognitive energy. And because that, we love inconvenience. Algorithms reduces the range of options and reinforce habits. So it facilitates for us to be convenient. Convenience reshapes our sense of need. This is a book, The Paradox of Choice, from Barry Schwartz. Recommendation system shape preferences, they don't just reflect them. And voice assistants and zero friction interfaces reduce conscious decision making. And it brings us to truth number 10, that the price of convenience is our autonomy. So guys, what do we do now? I have a tip for you, the 4 A's of digital agents. The first stage is about awareness. We have to understand how the system shapes your attention, choices, and behavior. And we are doing it right now here, so thanks for coming and to be awareness of this first A. The second A is architecture. We have to redesign our digital environment so it works for us, not against us. You have to put trigger, you have to turn off the notifications, you have to put in your phone in grayscale, you have to choose what you see, you have to confuse your algorithm, you know? We have to, as agents, we have to choose deliberately instead of reacting automatically and go beyond your bubble. So the next talk, you have to go to a talk that you don't know almost anything about it, you know? This is a very good natural algorithm that we are doing here in South by Southwest. Or you use it, ChatGPT, to do your curator. And the fourth is advocacy. And in my opinion, this is the most powerful thing that we can do. We have to choose, support, and demand technologies that align with human well-being, not only for convenience, or the fastest model, or the best model. Oh, all my information is there. We have to choose the technologies that is aligned with our purpose. So guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you.